Of BBC services beyond 2012 comes amid the perennial arguments about whether the licence fee is still a reasonable way of funding broadcasting when we have hundreds of channels of choice. We asked two of the top brains in broadcasting, David Elstein, the former chief executive of Channel 5, and Peter Bazalgette, the former chief creative officer of Endemol, responsible for bringing Big Brother to the UK, to offer their personal views on what the BBC should look like in future.
One of the most important functions of the BBC is to invest in original content, everything from Radio 3 to Strictly Come Dancing. But as the digital world challenges the television model and the way programmes are funded, the BBC's investment in programmes become even more important. And that's particularly true of the money it puts into drama and children's programmes. But the most important function of the BBC is to be a trusted and reliable source of news and information. And that's more important today than it ever was in the past, because the internet is the home of rumour, gossip and paranoia. There can be no more acute expression of democracy than that there is a publicly funded news organisation that can criticise the government. But to justify its favoured position in the British media universe, the BBC is going to have to develop many more genuine partnerships, not control freakery, but genuine partnerships with other bodies. Otherwise, it will find itself in the future top-sliced and having its money shared out outside its control. So I strongly believe the BBC will still be with us in 2020, but how will it be paid for? Will it be the licence fee? Can that sustain? Or will it be out of general taxation? That's not a good idea. Witness the way in which the National Lottery's money has been subverted to other causes. If it went to general taxation, the BBC would lose its protection. My prediction would be it'll be a combination. A core licence fee, perhaps of £70, £80, paying for the core news information the BBC presents, and probably a voluntary element, subscription element, paying for some of the other stuff like drama and entertainment. One other thing, the BBC had better pray for a healthy Channel 4. Because if the BBC was the only public service broadcaster in the marketplace, there'd be too much money and influence in one organisation, and then it would definitely have to be split up.
By 2020, I hope, the BBC will be a very different creature from today. The big opportunity is analogue switch-off in 2012. Why does that matter? Well, digital systems will allow the BBC to replace the licence fee with voluntary subscription. And that will allow the BBC at long last to escape what feels like a permanent open season for whinging that licence fee payers seem to expect to be allowed to indulge in. The current list of complaints: too much pay for BBC bosses and stars, too many repeats, the BBC is too big and too powerful, it runs fake competitions, it allows Brandon Ross to humiliate Andrew Sachs, it fills its schedules with soaps and reality formats and elimination shows, it's lost its creative nerve, and so on. But if the BBC switched to subscription, all of those criticisms could fall away. Think of the home of Sex and the City and The Sopranos, HBO, the American subscription channel. Why are its programmes so daring and of such high quality? Because it only has to please its subscribers, not politicians, not advertisers, not the general public. And subscription brings not just creative freedom. It could cut the cost of BBC channels for homes with just one TV. And it brings choice. Households that don't want any BBC channels wouldn't have to pay for them. Conversely, the BBC could launch an arts channel. It could launch a premium sports channel. Anything its subscribers were willing to pay for. And voluntary subscription would give us better governance of the BBC, more transparency, real accountability, and an end at last to the unfair burden of a flat-rate compulsory household tax. Clarity of purpose, creative freedom, direct accountability to those who pay, escape from petty politics and pygmy complainants. That's the BBC we could have in 2013, let alone 2020. And if it works as well as I believe it will, I don't care what the Director General is paid.
Well, I'm joined now by the Culture Secretary, Ben Bradshaw, and by